Photoshop Beta has just added an amazing new feature, Embroidery. You can create all kinds of amazing embroidered patterns and designs and images very, very quickly. PC or Mac. It's in beta, but you can download it via the Creative Cloud. So the first thing to do, where is it? Here, parametric filters, embroidery, right at the top. And you can click it and apply to any image. But let's firstly remove this effect. It's a smart filter. It's a smart filter, so you can remove it at any point. So you just go to it, and with that, just drag it off there, drag it to the delete, and it's gone. So I've got this image here. So here, parametric filters, just click. That's all you need to do, and it will apply it. That's the default. Really looks good straight away. A wonderful embroidery effect. You'll notice that smart filter, parametric filters, unfortunately it doesn't give the name, but it is a parametric filter and it's available via the properties here. You can also combine it with all of the other parametric filters, loads of great ones to use as well. But it's got lots and lots of properties. So let's just go through that, and you can change the light angle. So just move that, and you can see as you do that, the result will be slightly different. You can increase it maybe to 180 and it will go at another angle, and so on. So you can create a variety of different designs just by changing that one feature. Number of colours. The max is set to 8. There's actually 8 different sections, colour sections. It doesn't go up to 10, 15 or 20. It would probably become very unusable in that case. But you can set it to say 3, and sometimes the image is absolutely fine. Of course, what you can do is apply effects to the image beforehand to create even more unusual designs. Maybe blur it, maybe apply stylized oil paint and so on. So you've got a number of colours there, 2, 3, 4. So let's just go with 4. So you've got that. What you can then do is change the density. So you can push it right down to the lowest, which you can get this lovely chunk effect. I think it's pretty cool. But also you can push it up to the max, 300. Though you should check, sometimes these sections here, if you go into this edit field, you might find that you can put it to 500, 700, 800. Just because the slider goes up to a particular value doesn't mean the edit field does the same. So you can go with density, so you can reduce that down. You can see a variety of different effects just by changing density. Also, you've got different fill styles. So you've got a fill, or embroidery style I should say. Fill outline. That creates a slightly interesting effect. You get an outline, which is very nice. All the way around there, you can see now, around her arm, etc. Let's just move that out of the way. You can see that. Also, you've got options here for just outline. Though the result is quite often, you can actually see more of the image again. You can see the outline and you can see the hair there. Personally, I don't like that effect very much. It would be nice, maybe a black and white effect or something like that would be nice. Top stitch, which I think is quite nice. But again, you can see the result with image. But it's great for creating some really unique sort of background, sort of frame designs or edge designs to your images very quickly. A very unique one like that. But let's put it back to fill. This is the default one. And then change the tightness. So you can change that. You can see there it's just like that. Or you can push that up to the limit again to 1. And you can see it's like that. So again, variety of different designs purely by just changing that one slider. And you can see in this case, it does go more. So you slide it and it will push it back to the middle again. And you push it up again to 4. I think goes up to 8 or 10, maybe even more. So you can see, keep pushing it up, and you will get slight variations. Personally, I'm just going to keep it down about 2.4 there, and I've got that. Also, you've got things like thread and thickness. So this is quite an interesting one. So thickness one there, you can see then you get a slight blur into it. Create some really wonderful crunched in effects that way. Also, you can change the length, see different combinations, or go push that up to 1. And again, you can see again, it just waits a few seconds, and you can see then you push it to 4, and then you push it, and that really does create some very extreme, like scattering effects for any image. I mean, I think that's a really high impact visual effect. But also you can push it again back down to there, put it down to obviously a more lower value, so you can still see the image. Also, you've got smooth edges, so you can push that up, get a slightly smoother result there. Now that is, I think, the limit. Oh no, unfortunately it doesn't tell you. So you have to find out that it's actually the thing. So you can push it up to more and more. And as you go up, you can see then obviously the image completely obliterates the image in this case. But it could again could be used for all kinds of amazing visual effects. So push that down again to that. Also, you've got imperfections. I think imperfections is really good because it creates a bit of variation, which you can use with the randomize feature at the top. And you can push this up. And as you do that, you will create different results each and every time. And I think creates some very weird, and again, that's what I mean, randomize. So click here, and as you do that, you will see you get different results. You might decide, you know what, that's the one I like, and go with that. And then you've got the colors. So I've got the colors up here. I set it to 4. You see when you've got 4, it's got color all the way down there, and color 4. If I'd gone for 8, there would have been color 5, 6, and 7, 8. But you can change them independently. I have to say the designs are very, very subtle difference between them. So satin, twill, I think it's, it doesn't, there is a slight variation, but just take a few seconds to go twill. But you can see there's not much of a variation. Also split. You can see again, very subtle. It's a pity. I would love more sort of curvy designs, possible feature. That would be a nice feature. A waviness, maybe a sort of dipping in and out underneath each other. That feature, unfortunately, is not available. But also what you can do, let's just push it back to satin again. You've got orientation. You can say each of the colours. So you've got 45. Now you can vary the height. And as you change it, you can see. Now, sometimes it's not really obvious which colour you're actually working with. That is the one thing that I find slightly odd. But you can see as you do it, you will determine that. And also you can always click here. You've got custom colour. You can see now you've got grey. Again, I didn't know it was going to be that colour that was going to be selected. So it's a bit sometimes a bit hard. It's a pity it doesn't indicate the colour visually in that there. That would be nice. But you can see you've got the same options all the way down. So you can modify all independently. And you can see there I've got height. I can reduce that down, maybe push it down there so it fades away a bit. And then at the bottom, you've got the transform. Now, unfortunately, in this release of Photoshop Beta, the transform does not seem to work in the way that it used to. Used to be able to do lots of wonderful repeats of images. So if you entered a value here, you could enter 3 and it would apply it. This time it's not even letting me enter the field, which is very odd. So there's something slightly odd there. Also, you've got rotation, which seems to have no effect either. And also the scale. One time it used to do scale, used to boost up the picture, make it very big. Now it seems to have no effect whatsoever. Hopefully in the next release, they'll fix that, because I think it's a bug. But this is it, parametric filters. But that's not the end point. So you've got this design, well, it's a parametric filter, and all these parametric filters can be used with other filters, but also they can be used with themselves. And also because it's a parametric filter over here, you'll notice when it creates it, it also creates a copy of the background. So you're not working with the actual initial layer. So you can then go over here, blend modes. So you can go through and say darken, so multiply. So you can create some very interesting effects just by going, say, colour, like that. Creates a very Dave McKean-like effect, I think, that sort of design. I think it's just a great filter. And I really hope that Photoshop bring out more of these very unusual parametric filters. They've got lots of things like patterns. They've got lots of colour ones. All great. But this, I think, is one of the first of the really, truly unique and unusual effects. And I think you could probably extend it, hopefully, to other things as well. But you can see as you go through this, you've got here screen, and you've got there. And of course, you can change your opacity and those sort of things as well. Now, some are not so great, different, those things. Some have little effect at all. But let's just go back to normal. But what you can also do is on here, is you can select that parametric filter and drag. So you can just drag it like that. Just hold down the alter option key at the same time, and it will duplicate that parametric filter. Exactly the same filter at this point, but they're independent. So it means you can then change it. So you can go to this one, just click here, double click. Yep, it's going to just quickly go over here. The same settings at this point, because of course I haven't changed anything from the other one. But you can then go and say, oh, you know what, density, I'll change that. And I changed this, changed different things. I'm not going to particularly go through every single option, but I'm just changing a few things, or maybe not that one. That's pushed it a bit too far. Let's go back length back down again, reduce it down and maybe thickness. And also you can do randomize. You see randomize, and that will any random features in this, it will be randomized. Again, it is different from the other parametric filter. You've also got down here, you've got all the various options here, and you see the color here. You can go here, click here, and then say instead of that, you can go for green. Click OK. And this time it will be green. Though in this case, because where it is, it's not changing visually, but you can always change things there. Just click over here, double click, just remember double click, and then go here and you can say darken. And you can see now, you can see it coming in there. Or maybe go for linear burn and so on. All kinds of combinations with this one. So soft light, click OK, and so on. You can see them with this, creating multiple parametric filters. You can create all kinds of unique effects like that. Very unusual, sort of woolen, I don't know what you could describe it as, but you can still really see the woman there, just about. And again, you can always go up here and go through the blend modes and just go there, say darken, and you can change it. So you can create something like that. So you can still see the image, but it's blended with this like woolen or satin effect, as it says. Also, you can always flatten the whole thing. So layer and go to flatten image. So it's all flattened. Obviously, the parametric filter is now gone. You can now, of course, go to filters and then go to blur and Gaussian blur, say. Maybe blur that. Or maybe go to filter and stylize and oil paint, which really smears this face, especially if you push the values up fairly high. So click OK there. So you've got that. But you can always go parametric filters again and go back to the embroidery and click there, or any of the other ones. So just click there and it will fire up again, and you've got this effect now, and you can then manipulate that further. Again, you've got the original as well as this effect. So you can see you can combine. Unfortunately, actions do not work with the parametric filter. You can't store it as an action. It'd be brilliant if you could, but the way it's done with the smart filters, you just can't do it. So that's going through parametric properties, parametric filters for embroidery in Photoshop. This is the beta. So if you haven't got the beta, download it from the Creative Cloud. Really worth it. Lots of great features in it. Loads of things to check out. And this one is definitely one of the best ones I think they've done for quite a while. Like I say, it's got lots of duotones, hologram, and so on. But embroidery, very unique designs.